We're in front of a house we'll call the Crossan Bungalow. It's a 1912 bungalow here in Nanaimo, and it's a house that offers the opportunity to make some real practical improvements as well as some aesthetic improvements. But we've also got a great place to start. There's some nice features with the stained glass windows that are there, the basic form of the building, and so on. You can see at the front barge board of the house there, just underneath the roof trim, there are notches where there have been decorative knees in place before. So those have been removed at some point in time. We're not sure why, but we'll probably restore those. You'll also see that fairly recently, actually, the house was upgraded in terms of its electrical panel and service, but they went right through the barge board and left kind of an ugly tangle of wires right in front of the house. So I think we'll move that to the opposite side of the house so the wires don't cross in front, and so we don't have the wiring as a main feature on the streetscape. What we find a lot of times with older houses is there are indications, if we look carefully at, that give us some clues as to some historical problems with the house. So in this case, we can see indications of rot in some of the trim. We can see many coats of paint on the weather side of the house, and we can even see some little bits of flashing that has been added on to obviously deal with water problems, and then that flashing has been painted over with subsequent coats of paint. We all know about leaky condominiums, and there are many, many houses that leak as well. The instances aren't as well publicized because they don't affect nearly as many people. But here's a classic example of why we have leaks in houses. You see the joint between the siding and the chimney here, and there's no caulking, there's no proper protection for that joint whatsoever. So when the prevailing wind and rain come, they will drive moisture into the house right there. And as I say, this is very common, and it's another thing that we need to be aware of as we're looking at what we've got to do to make this building more airtight and energy efficient. An attempt has been made to relieve the water coming to the basement by putting a drain board against the outside of the foundation. That by itself will likely not stop the problem. We're going to approach this house with a desire to bring it up to current energy standards, actually energy standards of the future, but we want to honor the heritage of the house, the character of the house, and just some of the aesthetics that everybody's drawn to in some of the older homes we deal with. So what we'd like to do is show you the existing house as it is, show you some of the ways that it's been built, and then talk also in the future about what we do to change it. So we're just inside the front entry of the house now, and it's got beautiful oak floors that have been refinished at some point, so we're going to want to preserve those. And you can see there's leaded glass doors, which probably date from the original construction. They're a very nice touch. And it's lath and plaster interior walls. So we want to leave as many of the inside walls alone as we can to preserve that lath and plaster. And but we already know that the house walls are not insulated. So we're going to want to open those up in one manner or another and get some insulation in there, and then we'll have to refinish those walls. Here we are in front of the original fireplace in the home. As you can see, it's got some nice detail to it, and it's in great condition. So we're not sure what we're going to do with this. On the outside, the chimney is badly cracked. It's got this retrofitted pellet stove, which is not particularly efficient, and we have to remove for safety reasons. And so we'll see how this figures in the new house. To me, one of the charming features of the house are the original cast iron hot water radiators in most of the rooms. And you know, they're a great efficient form of heat. In more recent times, they've been discarded because there were more inexpensive heating systems to install, like electric baseboard or forced air systems. But radiant heat is a very pleasant form of heat to live with, and I think these are a great sort of aesthetic feature to maintain in an older home. Another nice feature are the 9'3" ceilings. Why they chose 9'3", I have no idea, but that's what we've got. And it really adds to a sense of space in the home, even though the rooms aren't particularly large. Another great feature is the stained glass windows across the front of the house. Again, they seem to be original as far as we know, and we're going to have to work out how we can get an efficient window installed here and yet preserve the character in terms of the style of window frames and the particular stained glass that's there. More or less in the middle of this wall behind me is the original brick chimney that goes from the basement up through the roof. You'll see on the other side when we get into the kitchen that it's a red brick, and it can be very attractive. So we're going to open up this wall, and we'll therefore join the kitchen to the dining area and living room, and we'll make that brick chimney a feature that's seen from every room. This is that brick chimney I mentioned to you. We're standing in the kitchen now, and you can see the pie plate that covers the original aperture there that probably served a chimney out of a kitchen wood stove. And that was probably a source of heat in the house, as well as the method they used for cooking. We're going to take out the walls on either side and join this space to the living room, as I mentioned before. In studying the house, we've realized that they've had some real problems with heating the house in the past. As we've said, we have the original hot water radiators, but they've also gone through and added electric baseboard heat. The other thing that we've noticed is that this room we're in here is narrower than the rooms adjacent to it. And it's become obvious that the reason why is that the homeowners have, we presume because they were cold, added 1 inch of foam insulation around on the inside of the room, and then they've refinished the walls with drywall. So we've realized that, and it obviously sends a clear message that the house really does need some upgrades in terms of insulation. This is what's known as a butler's kitchen. It's very small, only 5 feet wide and about 9 feet long. So it doesn't allow much room for cooking. We're going to move these walls around a little bit and create a larger, more modern kitchen that's tied together with the dining room and living room. The cabinets are quite new, but as you can see, they're not particularly consistent with the heritage value of the house, so we'll probably move them out and do something more suitable for the character of the house. This is cool. You don't see these very often. We're going to have to move this wall, so we'll carefully remove the ironing board from it and we'll reposition it somewhere else in the house. We don't want to lose this feature. We have an unusual setup for bathrooms in this house. In fact, there really is only one bathroom, but it's separated into 2 rooms. In this room we have a clawfoot tub, and we've got quite a modern, inexpensive vanity and a steel sink. So it's really not congruent with the house at all. We'll be changing that quite a bit. We will salvage the tub and reuse that in one of the bathrooms. The only toilet in the house is in a separate room. It really is what you historically call a water closet. So we'll want to, of course, remove that and join it with the bathroom.